What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Aiden here, and I am making kind of an impromptu video. I wasn't gonna make a video about this because it's not really LGBT or trans related, but I thought that maybe it hits home in another area for me that I really want to talk about that works in. So I want to talk about quickly. I don't want to spend all day on this, but just want to voice my opinion on the Las Vegas shooting that happened last night. So first and foremost, I woke up this morning and was on Twitter and found out about it, and my heart goes out to everybody who was injured, killed, families, people who this will affect, because it will not just affect those people who were injured or killed, it will affect everybody. I'm over in Oregon and it affected me. Now, did it affect me more than somebody whose child got killed? No way, shape, or form. But it did affect me, and it does affect most every American, I would say, and people outside of the United States also. And I want to talk about something that not everyone's talking about. So a lot of people are talking about gun control, which I also agree with. So my stats on gun control is I do not hunt. I'm not a hunter. I've used guns in my past. I took a really fun trip actually to Spoke in Montana and shot my first gun, and it was actually fun. But that's because the environment we were in was very, it was a fun thing. We were shooting at star things that we put into the woods, like made sure that I was with professionals, I guess is what I'm saying. And it was more for like aiming and playing, right? And it was fun. And I come from a long line of fishermen as well as hunters. On my father's side, we have a lot of hunters in the family, and I was never a hunter. My dad, I don't think, was too big of a hunter. My brothers, no. So I've had guns, I've seen guns all the time. But most of the guns I've been around are made for hunting, because again, my family were hunters. So I don't know, I don't know how much, never really sat and thought about, like, I kind of think that nobody should have a gun, honestly. I don't even, maybe high-ranked police officers should have guns. I think we can get a lot done with tasers and other practices of how to hold someone down, but whatever. That's not really what I'm here to talk about. I don't have a gun, and I don't really, I don't have a desire to own a gun. So yeah, those are my feelings on guns. I just think, like, if anything, like, I'm not gonna sit here and argue with somebody who wants to own a gun, but what I will argue is that, like, by no means should there be military style guns ever to citizens, right? If you're not of military grade and you're not on a military base, then you shouldn't have a military style gun in your presence. These things shouldn't be sold. You shouldn't be able to put out 50 bullets in a matter of like 3 minutes or something crazy like that, even less probably. But what I really want to talk about is mental health. And mental health is so key, I think, to this problem, because so many people own guns in America, and military style guns, and so many people do not get angered and go up shooting people. It's not the average thing that a gun owner does. And I think that's our biggest issue, is that the mental health of our people in the world today, and I'll talk mostly about the United States of America because that's where I am and where I live and the people I deal with mostly. And our mental health is not in a good spot right now. I can't compare it to older generations because I've only grown up in my generation. But it's a problem. More and more young kids are diagnosed with anxiety and depression, and more youth are feeling suicidal or want to self-harm. More and more people are using high-end, like serious drug use. You know, heroin is a huge epidemic in the United States right now, right? And that's, you know, then we're not even talking about prescription drugs, okay? And, you know, so many people are using things to mind numb, right? There's a difference between like going out with your friends and like getting drunk on a Friday night, right? And using heroin. Like, there's just a difference. One is way more extreme than the other. And so I just feel like that if you have somebody with good mental health, they can own all the guns in the world. They're not going to shoot up everybody. But if you have one person with bad mental health with one gun, and that gun happens to be a military-style gun, that's when you have issues. That's when people get killed. That's when people kill themselves. That's when people kill their family members and then themselves. That's when people kill 50-something people, injure 400, and then kill themselves. That's what mental health does when you have when you're not stable in your mental health. And the problem with that, especially in our society today, is that you're just supposed to brush it off. You're not supposed to talk about it. You're not supposed to be vulnerable, right? Especially, and I'll just fucking say it, especially in the male world where talking about your feelings and being depressed is not something that is talked about and not something that's okay to talk about. You go talk to your buddy about being depressed and sad. It's just not a conversation among men. It's not what happens, and it's a problem. It's a huge problem. Being vulnerable and showing emotion and sadness or depression as a man in the world today is just seen as not a good thing to do. It's just not, right? Now, I'm not saying every man, but I'm saying that if I was to walk up to a general person and who was identifying as a male, and I want to talk about emotions and being vulnerable with them and how sad and depressing this is and talk about mental health. Yeah, everyone will say mental health is important, but not everyone's willing to open up and talk about it. I self-harmed from the age of 12 to the age of 21. There were times, there was large groups of months and maybe even years where I self-harmed every single day. Nobody knew about it. Nobody. I was suicidal for oh my gosh, for years. Just years. Attempted, and luckily, I mean, now I say luckily, not, you know, I'm still here. But just mental health is so fucking important, and I don't see why we're so afraid to talk about it. Like, it's something that everybody goes through. Everyone gets sad. Everyone has moments where they are feeling depressed. People go in and out of depression. People live in depression. I mean, this is something, like, people get angered and they have no place to put it, right? Or they put it online and just, like, start bad-mouthing every person, and, like, putting your emotions online is not necessarily going to get you fed. It's not going to get your needs met, because what's going to happen is usually you say something and then people will hate on you, right? I just feel like that's more of the conversation that needs to be had. I know that gun control is important, and I'm not trying to say that it's not. I think that that's definitely a conversation that needs to be had in so many ways. Again, I don't even, you know, I don't know how it would go, because there's so many guns on the street right now that if we were to take guns out of policemen's hands, we would save lives and also endanger lives. And so I don't know how we would go about doing it. I don't know. But I just know that the conversation has to start, right? I also don't know how to, like, you know, make everyone see trans people for the identity they are, but the conversation has to start. And luckily that has been started, and I think gun control is getting its way, but I think that mental health still needs to be talked about. We're ignoring it, and it's a problem. And I'm not editing this video. I'm just putting it up because I'm going through these emotions as well, and the lack of understanding we have about mental health, and the lack of, you know, the fact that going to a therapist or somebody is seen as like you're crazy, or like you're going to like a shrink, or you have an issue if you are, you know, going to therapy. when therapy is just another person to talk to that has no, like, true influence, like, not influence, has no true, like, benefit to you, right? You talk to your mom, she's got a benefit to tell you some story. You talk to your partner, they've got a benefit to tell you another something. You talk to a friend, you know, everyone has their own benefits on what they tell you is good or bad or what they think you should do, right? But going to therapy is someone who's outside of all of the chaos and the people in your life who can look at things objectively and make you decide what you want to do. So yeah, I'm gonna end the video here. I just think that, yeah, mental health needs to be talked about more, and I want to start the conversation more too. And I don't think that I never shy away from it. I just also think that I'm not always sure how to start that conversation. And I guess maybe just making videos like this is a good way to start. There's a show that I'll be on coming up that talks all about my mental health. That's all we did was talk about it. It's called In the Gray, and they've been putting little clips on Instagram and stuff, so you can check them out. But I think that will be a really great piggyback. I can piggyback off of that to talk more about mental health. And yeah, let's talk about mental health. Let's talk about mental health. Let's talk about mental health. Alright guys, my heart goes out to everybody who is feeling for this, for the tragedy that occurred in Las Vegas, and yeah, I'll talk to you later guys.